Hey Rogue Nation, this is Ashley here at Chip Rosales, one of the managing partners of Rogue Marketing.
You know, we know how hard it is to get through all the business and the technology news that comes across your desk every single day. That's why we're really excited to be here for this week's episode of While You Were Working Live.
That's right. Information overload happens to us all, so that's why it's so helpful that you've sifted through some of these articles and found the ones that we really need to pay attention to. So with all the news you saw this week, what really caught your attention?
You know, the New York Times put out an article about college applications. If you have a high school junior or senior, you probably are all too aware that it is college application season. And the New York Times was saying how it's not really your fault if you don't get accepted to a college. Because it's not really about all the straight A's that you have or the advanced placement courses that you might be taking. Mm-hmm. They have so many competing objectives that it's really hard to actually qualify and apply to go to a lot of these colleges. As I was reading that article, it really started to draw a correlation with our industry. And it started to make me think about what are we missing out on when we don't focus on our outcomes and we don't actually think about those emerging technologies that could catch us by surprise.
Right, and nobody likes to be caught by surprises, and one of those is Bitcoin, and they've recently kind of come out with some trends and some data around that. They just keep growing. What did you learn about Bitcoin?
You've probably been reading all the news about Bitcoin. Every single week they seem to be breaking one of their own records. They break a record and then 2 weeks later they break that record again. I think at last count a Bitcoin is worth something like $7,000 these days. The interesting thing about it is that you either fall into one of two camps. You probably understand how to mine for Bitcoin and you understand all that entails, or maybe you don't have a clue. I personally don't really have a clue on that side, but what I do know is that it's one of the first successful implementations of blockchain. And that is why it's really important for marketers. We need to understand this blockchain. So Wired Magazine put out a 2-minute video that you'll want to pay attention to that explains the value of blockchain. And it talks about things like transparency with your transactions, fraud proofing what you're doing, accuracy. All of these things are things that our marketing industry is really begging for, and blockchain is not something you want to be caught by surprise with.
Interesting, and nobody likes surprises unless it's a surprise party with cake, then that's a good thing. But we were just talking about a trend that you were seeing really mature this week.
Oh, that's right. You know, it says like 90%, there's a stat out that says 90% of the data that we're seeing right now was created in the last 2 years. What that tells me is that there is a wide open opportunity for prioritization. Amazon and Netflix in particular have been really good at this, and they've been so good at this with recommendation engines. These recommendation engines allow them to mine through billions of hours of content, bringing you what is relevant and timely for your scenario. Recommendation engines are a really thing that are coming of maturity, and so MarTech actually put out an article that really explained the value and the ROI on these recommendation engines. Things like increasing your cart size, really understanding and learning about your client a lot faster, and then of course increasing engagement and delight, which every marketer wants to do.
Absolutely. Added value is something that every marketer and every company wants to have for their clients and customers. So it sounds like there's still an opportunity out there for companies to do just that. And you were just telling me about another piece that you read that said 10% of performers produce more than 50% of the breakthroughs.
You've probably heard that 10,000 hours of practice is what it takes for you to be really great at your craft.
I think Karate Kid said that somewhere.
Something like that. There's a philosophy that says that was probably more true maybe 10 years ago than it is today. And the reason that is because if you work in an industry that doesn't change very much, let's say music or sports, 10,000 hours of practice can really get you very far. But in an industry like ours that changes all the time, it's 10,000 hours of practice really doesn't get you that far. It's kind of useless. What this article actually advocates for is 10,000 experiments. What are you doing to tweak things up? How are you optimizing? What new technology are you introducing into your business processes? These experiments are the things that are going to lead to success.
Makes sense.
But here's the rub. Businesses these days are more worried about efficiency and productivity, and they don't have very much patience. And that combo is a recipe for squelching innovation. So this is one of my very favorite articles that I read this week. I think Rogue Nation, you're going to really love this article. It really makes a great case for the idea that if you want to be successful, you need to be experimenting.
Right. I mean, if you don't experiment, then you just get fall behind the times. And on that note, Rogue Nation, we have a challenge for you.
That's right. Get out there and experiment. Learn at some of these new technologies, and really think about how you can prioritize your outcomes for the remainder of 2017 and into 2018.
All right. Thanks for joining us this week on While You're Working Live, Episode 5. Be sure to check out all the article links if you'd like to read more about those through the blog link above. And tune in next week for another episode.
That's right. See you next time.
Bye.